Hi, everyone. So I was looking for another list to react to on this channel, and I'm subscribed to Taste Like Music. I've been a fan of their channel for probably three years or so, maybe four. And I just noticed that they uploaded this video today, Taste 300 Greatest Albums of All Time. So I thought, hey, I will steal their idea. No, but give them credit. I haven't watched their video yet, but I will afterwards. And yeah, so this might be a two-part video because 300 albums. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few albums I've never heard of because I'm old. I'm a 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s guy. That's about it for the most part. So here we go. So thank you, Taste Like Music. And also, uh, if you're a Bob Dylan fan, check out the series that Joe's doing with Dylan, not Bob Dylan. And they're up to the album Street Legal, Discovering Bob Dylan, episode 19. Highly recommended. Unless you're not a fan of Bob Dylan. Go away, Tastes Like Music. Here we are. Paste, the 300 greatest albums of all time. Somebody's opinion. Well, there's a few. At least it's not just one person. Or maybe it is. No, the Paste staff. Yeah, and this is pretty recent, just over a week ago. So we see Taylor Swift is going to be on the list, Kate Bush, Jimi Hendrix, some band called the Beatles, Donna Summer, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, David Bowie, Johnny Cash. Not sure who that one girl is there. But here we go. I wonder how many Captain Beefheart and Sparks albums will be on the list. Blah, 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 blah. Modest Mouse, I've heard them. I don't think I've heard that album, The Lonesome Crowded West. But the one album I heard by them I did like. Rihanna, never listened to. Queen Jazz. Oh, that's kind of nice to see that on the list because that would be probably my second or third favorite Queen album. Terry Riley, A Rainbow in Curved Air. I've never heard that. The Raincoats, I've never heard. I've heard of them, of course. Bad Brains. This is a great list so far. I'm going to just say to all 300 albums, oh, I've never heard that album before. No. This is maybe going to be my shortest video ever. Ice Cube. Oh, David Bowie. Scary Monsters. I would say that's a little on the low side. It would be, although, he's released so many great albums, but it would be in my top 5 or 6 David Bowie albums. It's on the list, so I'm happy. Nope. The Fall. I've listened on my Patreon. I've had song requests for The Fall off and on. Not recently, but in the past. And I've listened to probably maybe 10 songs, and most of them, they're kind of crazy, but I really did like them. Britney Spears is on the list. My apologies. The Who, Tommy, that's too low. It's good to know that The Who's Tommy is better than Britney Spears' Baby One More Time. Bonnie Prince Billy, I've heard of. I haven't heard music. No. Lil Kim. Talk Talk is great. I haven't heard that whole album, but I've heard quite a bit of Talk Talk, and they were a great band. Bob Marley, Vernon. That seems kind of low, actually. But maybe there's going to be more Bob Marley albums. Brian Eno, I've never heard. I think I've heard maybe his first two solo albums, and then he got into this more ambient kind of music, which I didn't think would interest me. Maybe it would now, but I don't think I've ever heard another Green World. Never heard that one. Towns Van Zandt, a great songwriter. I've never heard that album. Robin Body Talk. Pulp, different class. The only song I know is Common People, which I love. So I'm sure that is a very good album. Vampire Weekend. Kraftwerk, The Man Machine. I have that. It's not, I don't know. I much prefer Autobahn and Radioactivity than the Man Machine. So maybe they'll be on the list somewhere. Nope. Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. Great album. Hopefully there's more. Rust Never Sleeps. I'd have Trans in my top 100, at least. Blondie, Parallel Lines, very good pop rock album. Yay! Chairs Missing by Wire. I love Wire. Nice to see this on this album on the list. Any one of their first three. Mississippi John Hurt. Today. Fiona Apple. Let me read the album title for you. Hey, have you heard that album? When the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows. When he goes to the fight and he'll win the whole thing. For he enters the ring, there's nobody to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand and remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter because you'll know that you're right. No, you've never heard that album? Oh. I haven't heard it either. Tom Petty Wildflowers. That seems a little on the low side. Dolly Parton, Coat of Many Colors, great songwriter. No. Thin Lizzy Jailbreak. Stars of the Lid. Always. Nope. I've heard of the Meters, just haven't heard the album. Yeah, I've heard a little bit of PJ Harvey, just didn't seem to really interest me that much. The Byrds, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, that seems a little on the low side. Janet Jackson, Control. Outcast. Marty Robbins, Gunfighters, Ballads, and Trail Songs. Cyndi Lauper. I had that album on vinyl back in the day. She's very talented. Nico, The Marble Index. I think I have heard bits of her solo career. George Jones, I Am What I Am. Lord. I've heard, I think, a song or two by her, probably with the Patreon song reactions. Burial. Joni Mitchell, wow, that one seems a little on the low side. Unless there's going to be more of her albums, hopefully. That's usually one of her, that might actually be her most popular, or one of the most. Yeah, Steely Dan. And just, I respect them and everything, but even though I just laugh, but their music just kind of bores me, I guess. It's not, I don't find it that interesting. Shangri-La's Leader of the Pack. I know that song. LCD Sound System. Eric B. and Rackham. Quartet. Alice Coltrane. I have one of her albums, which is very, very good, but I've never heard that one. Promise Ring. Sex Pistols. I love that album. Yep. I bought it when it came out. And at the time, like I've said before, you don't know, there wasn't the internet, of course, back in the 70s. So you're always taking a chance. You read up on an album or a band and you think, oh, man, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll buy it. I'm glad I bought it. That would be higher on my list. Not really a fan of, just not interested in her music. Mountain Goats. Elton John, that seems a little low. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Danny Brown. Joy Division. Yeah, I just recently did a reaction to, I think, a song from that album, and I did like it. I think I gave it like a B plus. Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. Oh, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu, great album. I wonder if their debut will be on too. Crosby, Stills and Nash. That would be higher for me. Portishead. I've heard their music, really liked it. I've never heard him. Ornette Coleman. Nope. Beck Odelay. Good album. Germs. I think that's a punk band. Never heard them. Curtis Mayfield, Superfly. I know that song. Just haven't heard the whole album. U2, The Joshua Tree. I think that's kind of low, surprisingly. Although I love Octung Baby more than The Joshua Tree. Nebraska, Bruce Springsteen, good album. The Cure. The early Cure albums I've never listened to. Supremes. Boom, Dylan. I was 61. That's kind of surprising. You think that would be in like the top 50 or something. That is a great album. Jeff Buckley. Yeah, Grace. What a great singer he was. Yep. Great album. Music from Big Pink. Although my favorite is Cahoots, like I always say. Liz Phair, never heard. I've heard Led Zeppelin 4. That is too low. I'm going to get mad. Joanna Newsom. Sorry for laughing. Maybe it's a good album. Lil Wayne. Grace Jones. Just never heard the album, but I've heard her music. Nope. The Blue Nile, the Stooges. Yep, I have that. Great album. Ooh, that's too low. That might be my favorite Joni Mitchell album. That should be in the top 100 at least. Tom Waits, that's a great album. Rain Dogs. American Football, really? Yay, Captain Beefheart. It's not my favorite Captain Beefheart, but it's the most, I guess, the most famous of his albums. But still, it's nice to see Captain Beefheart on the list. Yeah. Leonard Cohen. Yeah. Great album. Built to Spill. No. Danger Mouse. No. Massive Attack. No. See, and then, I'll get somebody to comment, say, you've never heard this and that and that. But if you looked at my CD collection, there would be lots of artists that you never heard of. We all like what we like or have heard. The War on Drugs, I've heard of them, but I don't think I've heard their music. Yeah, Slayer, not into that kind of heavy rock. Rush, Moving Pictures, that seems a little on the low side. Vince Staples. Oh, that's too low. I love all four of the Velvet Underground albums with Lou Reed. That would be higher on my list. Fiona Apple. Yeah. Dinosaur Jr., I've heard a couple of their songs and liked them. TLC, the only song I know is Waterfalls. Pavement, I've heard. They were interesting. The Microphones. Kate Bush. Ooh, that seems a little on the low side. The Dreaming. Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP. I've heard that. Haven't heard him. I might have heard one of his songs on Patreon. Beyonce. The Strokes. The Ronettes. Oh, that is way, way, way too low. Don't you agree with me? Sticky Fingers. That might be my favorite Rolling Stones album. John Prine, the great songwriter. Missy Elliott, never heard. Nick Drake, Pink Moon, that's an excellent album. Swans, I've never heard. GZA or ZA. Yeah, I've liked the songs I've heard by Public Image Limited, but just I haven't heard a full album. Neutral Milk Hotel, I keep seeing this on lists, but I've never heard it. No, no interest. No interest. My favorite Talking Heads album, Fear of Music. That would be in my top, might be in my top 50. Marvin Gaye, great artist. X-Ray Specs, I've heard one or two of their songs. Death Cab for Cutie, like once again, I've heard a little bit of these artists' music, but Rust Never Sleeps, that would be higher on my list. Aretha Franklin, Pixies Doolittle, that's a great album. Kanye West, I've heard some of his music and just doesn't interest me. Oasis, definitely maybe. Even, not that I'm a big Van Halen fan, but that seems a little low. That should be higher. What a great debut album that was. Waylon Jennings, Sly and the Family Stone, that's a great album. Misty Springfield, Dismemberment Plan. No. Jason Isbell, I've never heard. Fishman's, Slow Dive, Lana Del Rey. Ooh, that's surprising. That's pretty low. Frank Ocean, Boards of Canada, Madonna. So Madonna's Erotica is better than Led Zeppelin 4. Okay. There's not a single Beatles album yet. I'm starting to worry. Jay-Z. Ooh, that seems very low. Paul Simon, Graceland. Bjork. Boris. I like Bjork. I might have even heard that album at some point. Eric Dolphy. Spiritualized. I've heard that. I think that was the album I did for one of my Patreon album reactions. And it was very, very good. What do I see? Seriously, I was not expecting them to appear on this list. Even a top 1,000. Nice to see Sparks. That is one of my favorites. Yeah. Way to go, Sparks. James Brown, that's usually on any list. I like Metallica. I've heard that. Good album. Elliott Smith. I'm actually, or did it? I did, once again, a Patreon album reaction to that. And I think I gave it a very good review. Oh, that is way too low. That would be maybe in my top 10. It's my favorite Led Zeppelin album. Jay Harvey, George Michael, very talented. Herbie Hancock. Minutemen. Oh, the first Beatles, Rubber Soul, way, 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 way too low. Speaking of low, David Bowie's Low is way, 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 way too low. Punk. That is way too low too. Wow. I'll go through this a little faster. Ramones, my favorite Ramones album. That's too low. Yeah, Thriller. Great album, but I actually think I like Bad more than Thriller. Sonic Youth. My favorite Jimi Hendrix album. Excuse me. Willie Nelson, Dr. Dre. I think there's many more Lou Reed albums I like than Transformer. I think it's kind of overrated. System of a Down. I've heard that. I think I did for an album exchange. It was I think it was that album or one of their albums. But I did like it. It was different. I just did a album reaction on Patreon for this. I gave it an A+, because it had been a while since I'd heard it. Heat. Oh, that is way too low. That is Paul's best album, in my opinion. Paul's best solo album. That would be in my top 10. The River is good, but I prefer Tunnel of Love. France, 1999. Bridge Over Troubled Water. I'd have that a little higher. Be King, Grateful Dead, On a Summer, Death. Oh, it's nice to see. I'm sure Rumors is going to be on the list, but it's nice to see Tusk getting some respect. It's my favorite Fleetwood Mac album. Sade, War, Deer Hunter, Otis Redding. I've never heard all of Raw Power. Very good album by Television. Siamese Dream is excellent. That's great. Beastie Boys. No. I've never heard Surfa Rosa. In Rainbows, very good. Yeah, that's the album I have. Really nice listen. Black Sabbath, yay! There's some Black Sabbath at least. It's not my favorite. I think my favorite is Sabotage. Mingus. Placements. Little Richard. Nice to see him on the list. Boom, Dylan. Blonde on Blonde. My favorite is Mom, Dylan. Blonde on Blonde. That seems kind of low. Although my favorite Bob Dylan is Slow Train Coming. Smokey Robinson, the great Smokey Robinson. Kendrick Lamar. Madonna. I had that back in the day, and I actually liked it. Just don't tell anybody. Bloody Valentine. No. The great Aretha Franklin. Off the Wall, Michael Jackson. Nirvana, great album. I did a album reaction to Husker Du, but not that album. The Beatles' White Album, no, that would be number 2 for me. I like that album by Hole. I used to have them back in the day. Yes, Van Morrison. My favorite Van Morrison album. Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions, that's great. My favorite REM album. Oh, that's surprising. The Hissing of Summer Lawns, 52. Top 50, Johnny Cash, love Johnny Cash. Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, that's great. The Beatles' Revolver at 45, I don't think so. Too low. Once again, I listened to that album for one of my Patreon album requests, and it was really good. I think I gave it like an A-. Jay Harvey. I've heard some of the Replacements, Patti Smith. My favorite album of hers, though, was Easter. Neil Young, On the Beach, yeah. Exile on Main Street. Yeah, it's a good album, but like I said, I prefer other ones like even Goat's Head Soup. I like more. Amy Winehouse, John Coltrane. Ooh, that seems a little on the low side. Tapestry, Carole King, York, Blood on the Tracks. I figured there'd be another Bob Dylan. Fiona Apple. So that album by Lauryn Hill was number one on one of the other lists. Electric Ladyland. Ooh, that's still way too long. Yeah, I prefer Remain in Light is really good, but I prefer Fear of Music. Sam Cooke, The Clash. My favorite Clash is Sandinista. Yep. The Velvet Underground, good to see them again. My favorite, though, is White Light, White Heat. Wilco, never heard. Prince, Purple Rain, of course. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, yeah. Maggot Brain, yeah. Velvet Rope, I've never heard. Born to Run. It wouldn't be in my top. Yeah, it might be in my lower top 100. Born to Run. Joni Mitchell, Blue. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? Bitches Brew. Public Enemy. The top 10, yeah. I love the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. Nope, never heard. Nina Simone, Wild as the Wind. Fishman's, never even heard of. Outcast, Stankonia, never heard it. The Beatles' Abbey Road at number 5. No, it's number 1. All right, the top 4. Prince, Sign O' the Times. Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. The Cure, Disintegration at number 2. What's number 1? Revolver, the Beatles. No, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. Can't argue with it, but I'd have the Beatles at number 1. Yeah, overall, certainly not as bad as some of these other, like the Rolling Stones list. And it was nice to see a Sparks album on the list, although it should have been at least Kimono My House. It's another one. Yeah, I would love your thoughts on this list. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment below, and like the video, and also check out Taste Like Music and see what they think of their list, of this list. I'm sure they know a lot more of the albums than I do. Bye.